Oldest palette was showing him unifying the South and the North, and they had the four standards, and you saw the four people marching in front of him, and the pictures in there.
Yeah, Chimo, greetings. We're just going to give a couple of minutes for people to join in. We just want to do a quick update as we are sharing this information about the trip. So just give it a couple of minutes. We're talking about our free trip to Kamit and Khanit, which is Egypt and Nubia. We have a trip coming up in September 26th through October 4th. We also have a trip coming up next spring, June 4th through June 12th. So people had questions about, we posted some information about the free trip. We posted that on YouTube and Facebook and to our subscriber list. So we just wanted to answer a few questions about that. You'll see that on one of our most recent posts, the trip, September trip, as well as the June trip. So just give it a couple of minutes for a few more people to come in, and then we're gonna get started. But what we have done, as people are coming in, we've had taking people on a tour to Kamit and Khanit, which is Egypt and Nubia, 12 cities, 13 sacred sites from northern Kamit in Cairo all the way through to southern Kamit, and then crossing over into Khanit, which is Nubia, Abu Simbel, the great temple of Ramesu II, and Nefertari and Abu Simbel and so forth. But we start off in the region of Cairo and Giza and so forth, and Saqqara, where the step Meru, the step pyramid is, and then going to the Giza Plateau, where the Great Pyramids are, the Great Pyramid is, as well as the two other pyramids and so forth. But then we fly from Cairo all the way down to Aswan, and then we go to Philae, which is the great temple of Aset, the last remaining temple that was closed about 2,000 years ago, about 2,500 years ago and so forth. And then we start sailing up north and so forth, or really down north. Various temples, the Temple of Heru and Edfu, the Temple of Kom Ombo, the sacred Temple of Sobek and Nit and so forth in Kom Ombo. We go to the Temple of Het Heru and Dendera. We go to the Temple of Seti in Abju, so-called Abydos. We go to Apet Asediu, which is so-called Karnak, Apet Reset, which is so-called Luxor, the mortuary temple of Hatshepsut, also going to the Valley of the King Ainsu, so-called Valley of the Kings and so forth. You'll see the underground tombs of Mer en Ptah, Tutankhamen, Ramesu the Sixth, Ramesu the Ninth, Ramesu the Third, a number of different tombs and so forth in the Valley of the Kings. So there are a number of different sacred sites, also special access that we have to certain archaeological sites. So what we're going to be doing is September 26th, when you see our most recent, one of our most recent posts, September 26th through October 4th. That is the autumn tour to Kamit. And then we have our regular spring tour, which next year will be June 4th through June 12th. Now, we put information out. And first of all, for those who are just joining, I am Odwirafo Kwesi Radnet Mata Khan, Odwirafo of Akwamu Mine, Amaruka Tifimu, the Akwamu Nation in North America. When you look on our page, you'll see that I've published 31 books to date, all of the ebook versions of our books dealing with various aspects of Afura Kani, Afura Kaitni, meaning African, ancestral religion, culture, nation building, true historical information, linguistics, cosmology, ritual practice, a number of different things. So all of the 31 books that we have published are free downloads from the website. You will also see that we have conducted 38 online courses. You can access those online courses. They are archived, so you have access to all 38 courses. So a number of different things that we put forward that we've been producing. But we also have a yearly trip to Kamit and Khanit. I conduct a yearly tour to Kamit and Khanit, Egypt and Nubia. But we also decided to add, so we do it in the spring. This year is May 23rd through May 31st. But for people who weren't able to go in the spring, we set up an autumn tour, which is September 26th through October 4th. So that's coming up in about 5 months. But then, of course, we also have our yearly tour in the spring. So next year, instead of the final week in May for the spring tour, it's going to be the first week in June. So it's June 4th through June 12th. So you'll see both of those on our page, our Adikat Cosmology of Creation tour. You'll see that on our page. We've posted a number of videos, about 13 or 14 videos, different scenes, different cities, different temples, different tombs, and so forth that we visited. So you can get a sense of what you will be experiencing when you go with us to Kamit and Khanit. So you can see all of that information on the page. But what we did was, there are two things that we did. We did this for the previous tour, and we incorporated this for the next two tours in September and June. We had a couple of spaces that we set aside for 50% discount. We only have a couple of them for September and a couple of them for June. So normally our tour for the entire tour is $3,000. That includes round-trip airfare. Round-trip airfare from JFK to Cairo and so forth. It includes the cruise. It includes everything, vegan meal options, everything that we're doing that's included within the $3,000 cost for the tour. And then, of course, we have options for single occupancy and double occupancy. What we have for a couple of spaces, and we only take about 20 people on the tours. We go with a smaller group so we can cover more ground and answer more questions and spend more time and so forth. We never really wanted to have like 60 or 70 people with multiple buses and so forth. We deal with a small group, 20 at the most 25, but typically around 20 people and so forth, so we can get the most done and get the most out of it and so forth. So, but what we have done is we have a couple of spaces for September for the 50% discount that are available, and a couple of spaces for the June tour for next year, which is 50% discount. So that's $1,500 instead of the $3,000. We can only do it for a couple of spaces at this point. Maybe in a few years from now, we'll be able to open it up to like 5 or 6 people for each trip. But right now, we can only do it for a couple of spaces. A couple of people taking those spaces. So if you would like to travel with us in September or June and you want to take advantage of the 50% discount, you will see it on our site. In order to take advantage of the 50% discount, you would either pay the entire fee up front, or you would pay a down payment of half of that, which is $750, and within 2 weeks you have to pay the other half. And we do it that way because, you know, some people are ready to take that space immediately, and if some people say, well, I don't have it all right now, we have to give it to the person who, you know, they're ready to go to Kamit and so forth, and they have the funds, so we have to do it that way. And we only have a couple of spaces for the 50% discount. Now, you'll also see on the page that there's an option on the website when you go and you're, you know, looking through the different options and so forth. PayPal has a pay later option. So when you look at that pay later option, if you choose that when you're checking out, they have options, for example, and they give an example of the entire $3,000 trip. If you're approved for pay later, which is really just a PayPal line of credit, you can pay like $200 a month for the next 24 months and cover your trip. Or if you're able to get the discount, the $1,500 discount, you're paying like $149 a month for the next 10 months or so until you pay off the thing. So PayPal has a pay later option, a PayPal credit option, and that gives individuals who thought that they wouldn't be able to make it to Kamit this soon, they may not have had the funds up front, but with the PayPal pay later option, people can just make these monthly payments and, you know, with PayPal, but the trip is covered. So that's an option. And of course, we also have our regular installment payment plan option, where you can secure your space with a $300 deposit, and then you just pay monthly If you want to go in September, you just pay monthly. You decide how much you want to pay monthly to pay off your balance until you pay it off before September. Or if you want to go in June, $300 deposit to secure your spot, one of those 20 spots, and then you pay monthly. You decide if you want to pay $300 a month or $400 a month, or some months you may pay $200 and so forth, until you get to 30 days before the tour. So that, since it's in June, it will be early May when you would have to make the final payment in full and so forth. But you make your own payment plan, and then that, once again, that's a way for people to, be able to go to Kamit. Some people would say, they never thought they could make it to Kamit because sometimes the prices are exorbitant. Many people are charging $4,000 or more for the same kind of trip. But what we're doing is we're trying to make it affordable for our people. So $3,000 for us, and we do have a couple of 50% discounts that are still available for the June trip and the September trip. Now, the email that we sent out on our list, some of you may have gotten this. If you're on our Facebook list or if you're on our email list, you should have gotten this email. If you're not on our email list, you can join our email list. You can send us a DM so you can get all updates on trips, on retreats, on our conferences, on our online courses, when we go live on YouTube and so forth, and Zoom. Just send us a DM so you can get that information. Our podcast as well, you can get all that information. But the message that we sent out is the message about the free trip to Kamit and Khanit. The way you can secure that for yourself, and of course, as with all of our events, our trip is open to Afro-Kaini people, African Black people exclusively. Only Black people come on our tour to Kamit and Khanit. So, if you would like to secure a free trip, if you have 4 people, at least 4 people who you can get who are interested in going to Kamit, going to Khanit and so forth, you share the information with them. You can share the email that we put out about the discounted, trips and so forth. Share that link with them. That's all you have to do is share the link, and when they go to our page, they'll see 14 different videos of different, scenes of us going to different places in Kamit, so they can get a view of that. If you can get at least 4 people to register and pay in full, then your trip to Kamit will be free. At least 4 individuals. So if you find a, husband and wife, or a brother and sister, or, people in a study group and so forth, and 4 of them sign up and they, pay in full, a couple of them may be able to take advantage of the 50% discount and so forth, or some people may need to use the PayPal Pay Later and, pay for the trip that way. But if you can get 4 people to sign up, then your trip to Kamit is free. So we put that out, whether it's the September option or the June option. So we put that out for people just on our list because, once again, we're only going to have like 20 people for the September trip, 20 people for the June trip. So that's something we wanted to do for, the people who have been following the work that we do, or, read some of our books, downloaded some of our books, accessed some of our online courses, watched our videos on YouTube and so forth, and been, empowered by them. We just wanted to offer that so people have access. And then you can also, there are people that you can reach that we may not have access to, that may be totally unaware of the work that we're doing and will be very interested in making that trip, to Kamit. So that's what we wanted to share with everybody. If you have any questions, of course, you can post them in the feed, any comments. And we'll leave this video up. You can share this information with your friends, but this is just one way that we are able to, we just wanted to, give this offering to the community. Some people, a couple of people may be able to get enough people, 4 people or more, so they can have a free trip to Kamit. So, all right. Okay, so for those who just joined, we were just talking about the free trip to Kamit, and we were talking about how if you can get 4 people to sign up, and pay in full, then your trip to Kamit is free. And we have an autumn trip coming up September 26th through October 4th. We have a spring trip coming up next year, June 4th to June 12th. So whether it's the autumn trip or the June trip, if you have 4 people, at least 4 people who can register, full registration, then your trip to Kamit is free. And that's just an offering that we wanted to give access to the community for. So okay, so this was just a short live. We just wanted to update people on that because people had questions about that. So if you have any questions, send us a DM. We'll send you all the information. We'll send you the specific constant contact email link that we sent out that's giving details about the free trip as well as the discounted trips to Kamit, the 50% discount spaces that we still have. So again, Yerase, we thank everybody for supporting our work. And Yabeshia Bio. Oh, hold on 1 second. I think I see somebody had a question. Okay, the question was, what was the link about being updated on all podcasts? So if you go to the, look on one of our more recent posts, the Hoodoo Cast podcast. So we started a podcast, Hoodoo Cast, authentic podcast for the Hoodoo, which is our Khan ancestral religion in North America. We did 1 episode and we have more episodes coming. It's going to be a weekly drop and so forth. But if you look at the recent post, you'll see that we have hoodoocast.com. Our podcast is already on Spotify, Amazon Music, Deezer. It should be on Apple Podcasts any day now. iHeartRadio and so forth. So when you look on our page, hoodoocast.com, you'll see the link to the all the information, the Spotify and Amazon and those links and so forth. The YouTube page, of course. We have a special Hoodoo Cast podcast page on Instagram just for the podcast. And then we also have a Patreon community, a Hoodoo Cast Patreon community. All of that is on the hoodoocast.com page. So you'll see all of that information there. And you can also, when you join the Patreon community, of course, you can see the first 3-hour podcast we did. We traveled to New Orleans. Myself and Voodoo Queen Kalinda Laveau, we basically interviewed each other. She talked about the voodoo tradition preserved in the blood circles of our people here in North America, in Louisiana for the past 300 plus years. And then I talked about the hoodoo tradition preserved in our blood circle for the past 300 plus years here in North America, which hoodoo is the Akan ancestral religion of Akan people preserved in our blood circles. Since we were forced into the Western Hemisphere, we continue to practice Akan ancestral religion. So, excuse me. Okay, Mirase, we appreciate that support. Yes, so that's the Patreon community. It's Patreon, but that link is on our page. It's on the hoodoocast.com page. Okay, we see a couple more people joined in. So we basically, what we were explaining for the people who just joined in, we have 2 trips coming up to Kamit. One in September, the autumn trip to Kamit and Khanit, Egypt and Nubia. And then our yearly spring trip, which is June 4th through June 12th of 2024. But the autumn trip is coming up in about 5 months in September. So we were showing that if you have at least 4 people that you can get to sign up, of course, our trips are open to Black people only, but if you know 4 people who are interested and they sign up full registration, then your trip to Kamit is free and you can choose to travel either in September or June. And we also talked about the 50% discount. We have a couple of spots open for a 50% discount. So if you look on our most recent posts with the video about the September and June tours to Kamit, you'll see the link there. And then we can also, if you have any questions, you can just DM us via Instagram on Odwirafo, and then we will give you, the details so you can take advantage of the 50% discount as well as send that information to your contacts. And if they sign up, then of course you'll be able to go to Kamit for free. If you have 4 people who sign up, then your trip is free. If you have 8 people who sign up, then that's 2 trips to Kamit for free. So that can be you and somebody you wanted to travel with, and so forth. So, okay. All right, so if there are not any more questions, we're going to go ahead and log off. We're going to leave this live up and so forth. And you can also check our YouTube page, Odwirafo on YouTube, and you'll see that we've done a couple of recent live streams, a couple of hours each. One was Who is the Great Mother? We're talking about Amenet, who's the Great Mother, who's the counterpart to Amen. And then we talked about who is the female creator. We talked about Ra'et, the creatress, who's the counterpart to Ra. And we show that Ra and Ra'et, the creator and creatress, they're found all across the continent, in Yonkonton and Yonkonton in the Akan tradition, Odumare and Oshumare in Yoruba, Da and Aida Huedo in Vodun and so forth. You have Amenet, the Great Mother, who's called Nyamewa in Akan, and Olokun in Yoruba, and Mawu in Vodun and so forth. There's always been a balance of the Great Mother and Great Father, Supreme Being. There's always been a balance of the Creator and Creatress. And the Creator and Creatress are the grandchildren of the Supreme Being. Ra and Ra'et are the grandchildren of Amen and Amenet. And they are subordinate to and servants of Amen and Amenet. So we show that entire cosmology. But we also talk about the upcoming trip to Kamit. And then we just did a live on Sunday, this past Sunday, on the 21st anniversary of our book, Kuku Tuntun, The Ancestral Jurisdiction. And we went through the text showing the impact and significance of the work. In that text, we're the first to properly show the etymology and cosmology of various divinities from ancient Kemet that, of course, are worshipped all over the continent wherever we have migrated into the world, but also how they manufactured the fictional cartoon characters Jesus, Yeshua, Isa, Abraham, Isaac, Ishmael, Solomon, Sheba, Menelik, David, Moses, Aaron, Muhammad, Allah, Yahweh, Buddha, Brahman. All of these characters are fictional cartoon characters who never existed of any form or of any race whatsoever. And so we show how they took names and titles of actual deities from Kemet, corrupted these names and titles and added them to fictional Eurasian characters, and then promoted these fictional cartoon characters as real living entities. And then years later, centuries later, some of our people tried to blacken up these fictional characters. That's just as foolish as trying to blacken up Santa Claus, which is absurd. So we go into detail about that to expose the fraud of the pseudo-religions of Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, Brahmanism, Vedanta, Jainism, pseudo-esotericism like Sufism and Kabbalism and, Gnosticism and so forth. So we did that 2.5-hour live that we did on Sunday. That is up on YouTube right now. So you go to Odwirafo on YouTube and you will see that live. And we also talk about the information about the trip as well as the podcast and a number of different things. Okay, so once again, Yedase, we thank everybody for joining us on this short little live. If you have any questions, once again, hit us up in the DM and we will send you all of the links that we addressed tonight. Yedase.